The forest always feels alive at night, though no one is there but me. Fog drifts between the skeletal trunks, curling and twisting like pale fingers reaching for the earth. A single, wavering light flickers somewhere ahead, maybe a lantern left behind, or maybe something else. I can hear it. The sough from the wind to the pines, the distant rustle of leaves, and occasionally a hollow snap beneath some unseen weight. My breath comes in quiet, shallow bursts, mingling with the cold, damp air. Every step I take seems to echo far too long, as if the trees themselves are holding their breath. I tell myself it's just my imagination, that the stories of creatures in these forests are nothing more than old tales meant to frighten children. But tonight, something is different. There's a stillness that doesn't belong here, a tension that tightens with every heartbeat. And then I see it briefly at the corner of my vision, a shadow taller than any man, moving too quickly, too deliberately through the fog. I freeze. My pulse races, but my legs won't obey. The hairs on my neck rise, and the silence stretches into eternity. That's when I saw it. The pines sway gently. A soft wind brushes my face, cold and damp. It carries voices I can't place. Fog curls low along the ground, hiding roots that twist like fingers. I step over one, then another, feeling the uneven earth beneath my shoes. Every footfall seems louder than it should be, echoing in the quiet. A pale light flickers beyond the clearing. It isn't steady, it shivers as if breathing. I can't tell if it's real or something in the fog. The whispers grow sharper. Not wind, not leaves. Words almost forming. I stop. My breath catches. The forest waits. Even the fog seems to pause with me. Soft footsteps behind me. Or maybe it's my own. I turn, but the fog swallows the shapes. Shadows stretch, melt, vanish. I take a step forward. Then another, drawn by something I shouldn't want to know. The voices circle me now. A hum beneath the wind. Cold, close, intangible. Something rustles in the underbrush. Or maybe it's the fog shifting. My hands reach for a tree. Bark rough, damp with moss. The light wavers again. It seems to pulse with a heartbeat. A rhythm I feel more than hear. I bend down, watching roots twist and curl beneath the mist. They seem alive, reaching, breathing, waiting. A whisper slips into the silence. Too soft to understand, yet unmistakable. I step closer to the light. It draws me with the slow insistence of a tide. The fog parts reluctantly, revealing nothing I can name. The forest holds its breath. Shadows cling to the edges of my vision. I think I see a figure, just for a moment, then gone. The wind hums again, low, vibrating through my chest. A warning or an invitation. I reach the edge of clearing. The pale light flickers one last time. Then it softens, almost like it's fading. The whispers retreat, curling back into the fog. I stand alone, yet not alone. Something lingers in the spaces between the trees. I try to move, but my feet feel rooted to the mossy floor. The silence presses against my ears, thick and heavy. A shadow drifts across the clearing. Slow, deliberate, almost hesitant. I hold my breath. Then nothing. The fog swallows everything. The clearing disappears. The pale light flickers far away, somewhere unreachable. I take a step back. The voices are gone. Or maybe I just can't hear them over my own heartbeat. The wind stirs again, soft, insistent, and I know somehow it will return. The trail narrows. Branches scrape against my jacket, rough and wet with dew. Each snap and brush feels louder than it should. I glance back. Shadows stretch impossibly long, reaching across the path. They bend, shift, but nothing solid waits there. A hum of silence presses close. Yet beneath it, I hear something else. Soft, deliberate footsteps. Not mine, always just out of view, matching my pace, echoing through the mist. The fog clings to my shoulders, cold and damp, smelling of earth and decay. It wraps around my neck like a slow hand. I pause. The footsteps pause. My chest tightens. A branch snaps behind me, or maybe I imagined it. The rustle of leaves answers, quick and sharp. I take another step. So, does it? The forest tilts in shadows. Every tree seems taller than it should. Their trunks twist in the corner of my eye. I breathe through my mouth. Moist air fills my lungs. The fog tastes faintly of iron, damp soil. The trail dips. Roots rise, catching my boots. Something moves beyond them, careful, patient. Invisible yet certain. I glance again. Nothing, but the steps are there. Soft, close, relentless. The air hums. A vibration that travels from the soles of my feet into my chest. My own heartbeat feels loud against it. I try to slow, to listen. Branches scratch the jacket again. Leaves whisper along the path. And somewhere behind, the pace keeps time of mine. The fog thickens. It swallows the trail ahead. Everything familiar disappears. A shadow flickers just beyond the fog. Gone the moment I try to focus. I tell myself it's imagination, but the steps insist otherwise. I stumble over a root, hands scraping the wet earth. Something pauses behind me. A presence, patient, waiting. The air stiffens, tense. I pick up my pace. So does it. Every step I take is mirrored by the silence behind me. Not a sound to prove it, yet I know it's there. The path twists again. The fog spreads like water over rocks. The shadows lengthen further, curling around the trees. I feel watched, more than watched, measured. I pause at the edge of a clearing. Mist curls around my ankles, damp and cold. The footsteps halt, just for a moment. Then they resume, soft, deliberate, closer than before, though still unseen. I stand still, chest rising, chest falling. The forest hums with quiet, the fog whispering along the ground. I close my eyes. Listen. The steps fade slightly. Or maybe I just stopped noticing them. The forest swallows the sound. I take one last careful step forward. The mist swirls around me. Shadows cling, then drift away. I am alone, yet the feeling lingers. A presence just beyond perception. Watching. Waiting. The trail narrows further. And I keep moving. Softly. Slowly. Step by step. Always feeling it behind me. The fog hangs heavy. Each step sinks slightly into the damp earth. Branches reach across the path, wet and sticky. A light appears. Small, pale, swaying, though the air is still. The lantern breathes. Its flame flickers like a living thing. Warmth touches my hands before I even reach it. Or maybe it's just the illusion of heat. The mist swirls around the glow. Shadows deepen. The forest exhales quietly. I move closer. Roots twist beneath my boots, tugging. The smell of wet pine and smoke rises. Shapes emerge from the fog. Human-like, twisted. Faces I cannot look at for long. Features too wrong. Too fluid, shifting beneath the mist. I blink. They fold into the fog, hiding just as quickly as they appeared. The lantern's glow remains. Alone. Fragile. I take another step. The air hums softly around me. Breath catches in my chest. They return. Figures, partial glimpses, limbs bending unnaturally. Eyes, I dare not see them clearly. Each movement slow, deliberate, whispering of intent. The fog absorbs them. I reach out, hands brushing cold mist. Nothing solid greets me. Only the heat of the lantern, glowing in the haze. A rustling to my side. Leaves whisper along the ground. I twist, expecting more, but the shapes are gone again. The flame pulses, almost like a heartbeat. I notice the shadows behind trees, longer, darker than any branch. Watching, waiting. My boots crunch on damp leaves. The fog curls around my legs, sticky and cold. I step closer to the light. Drawn by curiosity, I know is dangerous. A figure leans from the mist, twisted, half hidden. I can't look too long. The shape bends, stretches, disappears. The lantern sways again. No wind. Its flame inhales, exhales, alive in the fog. I feel it in my chest, pulsing, guiding. I walk slowly. The shadows flicker with every step. Branches scrape my jacket again. The smell of smoke mixes with damp earth, thick and clinging. The forest breathes around me, cold, patient. Figures sometimes touch the edge of vision, then vanish into the fog. I stop. The lantern swings gently before me. Its light soft, protective, but uncertain. The shapes retreat. Silence presses close. The mist absorbs everything else. Even my own breath feels swallowed. I step back, letting the glow lead me. Shapes dissolve into the gray. I am alone with only the lantern. Alone but not safe. The fog shifts. Branches twitch. And I know, somewhere within the haze, the figures wait. One final step forward. The flame flickers higher, brighter. The mist curls and folds around it. And I follow. The forest narrows here. Branches twist overhead, blocking the pale light. Damp earth clings to my boots. A tree looms ahead, hollowed like a doorway, its bark rough beneath my fingertips. A cold rush of air drifts from inside. It carries whispers, faint and urgent. Something waits within. I lean closer. The hollow seems impossibly deep. Darkness stretches, curling around the edges. Scratching echoes from within. Slow, deliberate, a murmur beneath it, like someone or something is thinking. I press my palm to the bark. Cold, almost wet. The air hums around my fingers. The forest seems to hold its breath. A leaf drifts past my shoulder. I start, but the sound is swallowed by the hush. The path behind me vanishes in fog. I step closer. The hollow gapes wider, dark and endless. Whispers swirl, brushing against my ear. I cannot understand, but they pull at me. My boots crunch softly on fallen twigs. I feel the damp air twist around my legs. The scratching continues. Closer now, patient. I crouch slightly, eyes straining into hollow. Shadows curl inside, shifting but never fully revealing themselves. The scent of wet earth and decay rises, thick and tangible. A faint breath brushes my neck. I shiver, and the whispers respond with a sigh. I cannot tell if it is mine or the hollow's. The tree seems alive, watching, waiting. Its hollowed mouth yawns wider, inviting. I lean my ear to the darkness. Static hums through the air, soft but insistent. The scratching becomes rhythmic, deliberate. I pull back slightly, then forward again. Each movement measured, careful. The fog coils around my ankles. I am aware of every small sound, every shifting shadow. Something brushes the inside of the hollow. Quick, fleeting. My breath catches. The forest presses close. Leaves tremble. A branch scratches above my head. I step back. The hollow seems to sigh with the wind. The whispers fade slightly, curling around the edges. I run my hand over the bark once more. Cold, rough, almost sentient. The air hums softly in response. I linger, reluctant to leave. The hollow seems to pull at me, quiet and patient. I step away slowly, boots sinking into the damp soil. The forest exhales. The tree stands silent, empty, or so it seems. Yet the whispers cling to the air. I turn. The path ahead twists in fog. The hollow waits, patient and dark, and I know it will always be there. The forest thins near a frozen pond. Ice spreads across the surface, slick and pale. Cold air bites at my cheeks, sharp and clean. I lean closer. The water is still glass-like, reflected in it. Eyes stare back at me. Not mine. Round, unblinking, too dark. A chill winds through my chest. A pale shape shifts in the trees. It moves slowly, deliberate, almost floating, watching, waiting. I blink. The reflection stays. Every blink feels like a lifetime. Every rustle of leaves, the threat. The fog curls along the pond's edge. It clings to my boots, to the hem of my coat. A hum rises in the air, low and constant. Branches scrape against one another. I hear it, sharp, brittle, yet muffled by the fog. The figure in the trees shifts again. Closer, lurking in the shadows. I drop my hand to the ice. Cold bites through my glove. The surface trembles slightly, reflecting movement from within the dark. A leaf falls onto the pond. Ripples distort the eyes. They vanish, then reappear. Always watching. The wind presses in, carrying the scent of wet pine, frozen earth. The fog obscures the trees beyond. I feel their eyes even when I cannot see them. I step back, Footsteps crunch softly in frost. I twist, but the pale shape has receded, hidden among the twisted trunks and shadows. The pond reflects only me now, or maybe that is only what I want to see. The cold presses through my jacket. The forest exhales around me, patient and silent. I lean close again. The eyes flicker, and then they vanish entirely. I take a step away. The fog curls around my ankles, damp and slow. Branches scrape overhead. Shadows twist between the trees. I breathe slowly. Each inhale tastes of ice and pine. Every exhale disappears into the fog. The pale figure remains unseen. Yet I feel in the hum of the forest. Watching, patient, waiting. I turn from the pond. Boots crunch on frostbitten leaves. The eyes linger in my mind. Every rustle reminds me they are still there. I move along the trail. The fog thickens. Shadows stretch longer than they should. And in the silence, I know I am not alone. The trail ends at a bridge, with arches over a black, silent stream. Cold mist rises from the water, curling around my boots. I step onto the planks. They groan beneath me, hollow and fragile. Each movement feels loud, echoing in the fog. The far side disappears into white. Fog swallows the end, thick and patient. I swear something waits there, just beyond sight. The railing is slick with moisture. I touch it. Rough wood bites my fingers, cold and damp. The air grows colder with each breath. I feel in my chest, tightening, pressing down. Mist curls around my face, smelling faintly of moss and wet earth. A soft hum rides a wind. I think I hear footsteps. Or maybe just the creaking of the bridge. The stream beneath is dark, still. It absorbs every echo, every shadow. I lean slightly over the edge. Black water meets black sky. The fog shifts. Shapes form at the edge of my vision. Just shadows, I tell myself. But they linger longer than they should. I take another step. The bridge groans again, subtle warning. The mist wraps around my ankles, sticky and slow. A branch scratches somewhere behind me. The forest waits, holding its breath. I glance forward. Nothing but fog, yet I feel it there. Patient, watching. I pause. Every inhalation tastes of ice and decay. Every exhale disappears into silence. The bridge seems to stretch farther than it should. Planks creak underfoot, yet I make no progress in my mind. Shadows twist in the fog. I reach the midpoint. The black stream whispers below, though it is still. Something brushes my shoulder, or maybe it is only the mist. The far side remains hidden. The fog shifts and folds, shaping itself into glimpses of movement. I step carefully, boots gripping the slick wood. A shiver runs down my spine. I pause, listening. The bridge groans again, soft, hesitant. The fog breathes around me. One more step. The black water mirrors nothing, reflecting only my fear. I exhale slowly. The far side waits. Shadows cling just beyond the mist. The bridge creaks under me, and I move forward slowly, carefully into the white. The forest breathes around me. Leaves stir, though no wind moves. The air is damp, heavy with moss and earth. Shadows dart at the edges of my vision. They vanish before I can focus. Shapes impossible to name, shifting just out of reach. I take a slow step. Twigs snap softly beneath my boots. The hum of the forest presses close. I feel it, present circling. Patient, waiting. Not behind me, not in front, but everywhere. My heartbeat thrums in the silence, louder than the still air should allow. Breath comes in shallow gusts, mist curling around my face. A leaf drifts past. It flutters unnaturally, pausing midair, then falls. Slowly, hesitant, I glance left. Shadows bend and stretch around trunks. They linger just beyond recognition. Something watches, unseen, deliberate. The fog clings to my boots, cool and damp, curling between my toes. It smells faintly of wet bark of decay. I step forward. The forest folds around me. Every step I take echoes, yet is swallowed instantly. Rustling again, not leaves alone. Something larger. It circles, careful, patient. I stop, Frozen. Listening. The hum of the forest hums through my chest. Branches scrape against one another above me. Or maybe I imagine it. Every shadow seems alive. Every dark space curves toward me. I take another step. A shape flickers to the side, too quick to grasp. I blink and it disappears. But I feel it lingering just beyond the fog. The air grows colder. The ground damp, sucking softly at my boots. My breath mingles with mist, white and slow. Another rustle, soft, deliberate. It follows, keeping pace. Every heartbeat matches it. I pause again. Eyes strain into shadows. Nothing solid appears. Yet, I am not alone. I move forward, cautiously. Fog coils around me. Shadows twist, curling along the trunks. Every step is mirrored by stillness behind me. I exhale slowly. The rustling ceases for a heartbeat, then resumes, patient, lingering. Every sense sharp, every nerve aware. I glance once more at the periphery. Nothing fully revealed. Shaped shadows watching, breathing, waiting. I continue along the path. Leaves stir again, unnaturally. The forest hums with quiet menace. I am alone, yet not alone. Presence presses just beyond perception. And I know, though unseen, they follow. The forest exhales. Mist curls along the path, damp and cold. Branches twist overhead, scraping softly. A low hum vibrates through the trees. It seems to come from the earth itself. I feel in my chest, deep and steady. I kneel, boots sinking slightly into the damp soil. Fingers brush moss and roots. The hum shifts, sharper, almost intentional. A faint voice whispers my name. So soft I question if it is real. The fog thickens around me, swallowing the trail behind. Cold air presses against my cheeks. The earth hums beneath my palms, vibrating slowly. Every breath tastes of wet pine and damp soil. Shadows curl along the tree trunks. They stretch and bend, reluctant to be named. The hum grows louder in my chest, resonant. I rise slowly. The voice whispers again, faint, beckoning. Leaves tremble along the path, though no wind moves. The fog folds in layers, thick and patient. Shapes seem to shift just beyond perception. I feel watched, held in quiet tension. The hum pulses beneath my feet. Every heartbeat matches it, echoing in my ears. The forest vibrates with unseen energy. A branch scratches above. Mist clings to my hands as I touch it. It drips slowly, cold scent of decay rising. The whispers linger, tangled in the hum. I cannot see their source. Yeah, I know they are there, patient and deliberate. The fog swallows the trail behind me completely. I am alone, or perhaps I have never been alone. I kneel again, pressing my palm to the earth. The hum rises, deep, vibrating along my bones. The voice whispers, softly once more. Branches shift. Shadows curl tighter. The mist wraps around my ankles, damp and slow. Every step forward feels measured, cautious, tethered. I rise, breath slow, careful. The forest hums in quiet, constant rhythm. The fog absorbs every sound beyond my own heartbeat. I take a careful step. Then another. The hollow humming follows, patient, unseen, persistent. The trail twists ahead, fog and uncertain. The voice lingers, faint, almost a memory. The hum continues, low and unyielding. I move slowly, senses sharpened. The forest breathes around me. And I know, though unseen, the earth itself waits, humming, whispering my name. The fog thickens. Branches drip with moisture, cold against my hands. The forest seems to lean inward, silent and waiting. Through the gray, a shape emerges. A cabin rises from the mist. Windows blackened, doors slightly ajar. I pause. A faint smell of smoke lingers in the air. Old, hollow, curling into the fog. Shadows cling to the walls as if alive. They stretch and bend with the dim light. I feel them watching, patient and still. The door creaks as I push it. Inside, the air is colder, heavier, with groans underfoot, damp and soft. Every breath tastes faintly of ash and wet pine. Dust drifts through the pale light from the windows. Shadows pool in the corners, thick and still. I step forward, heart pounding, eyes scanning every darkened edge. The walls seem to lean closer. The shadows flicker with movement just beyond recognition. I feel eyes tracking me from every corner. I pause, listening. The forest outside hums faintly through the cabin. Soft rustling of leaves, muffled and distant. I reach out, fingertips brushing the rough wood of a table. It vibrates faintly beneath my touch. Cold and solid, yet something beneath seems alive. A sudden shift in the corner of my eye. Shadow curls around itself. I blink and it is gone, yet the feeling lingers. The door sways slightly behind me. A draft snakes through the room. It carries whispers of smoke, of forgotten things. I move slowly, each step measured, careful. The cabin breathes with me, patient, alive. A shadow stretches along the floor. Then another. They twist together, curling in corners, then vanishing again. I stand in the center, alone, but not alone. Every movement is tracked, every breath followed. I touch the wall. Cold, rough, damp. A faint hum resonates through the wood. I step back. The pale light shifts in the windows. Shadows cling a moment longer, then melt into the fog outside. I linger for one last heartbeat. The cabin exhales softly. Smoke scent fades, but the eyes remain in memory. I turn. The door creaks closed behind me. The fog swallows the cabin once more. And I walk back into the forest, aware, watched. The forest is still. Branches hang heavy with frost. Every leaf glistens, frozen and silent. My breath lingers too long. Frost forms unnaturally in the air, curling around each exhale. Cold bites at my cheeks, sharp and biting. Shapes appear in the icy haze. Flickering, shifting, impossible to name. They vanish before I can focus, leaving only silence behind. I shiver, not from wind. There is none. The air feels thick, pressing close. A scream, or perhaps a whisper, cuts through the forest. It is sudden, then gone, leaving the frost trembling on the ground. The mist wraps around my boots, damp and slow. Branches scrape lightly against one another. The smell of frozen earth rises, faint and metallic. I step forward. Frost crunches underfoot. The shapes flicker again, weaving through the frozen air. Every heartbeat thrums in my chest, louder than it should. I feel the forest watching, patient and cold. I kneel briefly, fingertips brushing the frost-coated ground. A hum resonates through the soil, faint, unyielding. My exhaled breath swirls in response, curling unnaturally. A shadow moves between trees, too quick to follow, too deliberate to ignore. It merges with the icy haze, leaving only chill behind. The scream, or whisper, returns, closer now. I cannot tell where it comes from. It reverberates through the frozen mist, echoing in my chest. I rise slowly, careful. The frost clings to my jacket, cold and relentless. Branches scrape my shoulders as I pass. The shapes flicker one last time. They vanish into the haze. Yet the forest hums, alive with frozen breath and quiet menace. I take a careful step forward. The mist swirls at my feet, curling, whispering. Every exhale leaves patterns that twist unnaturally, dissolving slowly. I pause. The scream, or whisper, fades, swallowed by the frost and silence. The air tastes of ice and wet pine. I move along the trail, boots crunching softly. Shadows cling to the edges of vision. The forest exhales around me, patient, waiting. My breath forms icy spirals, curling in the cold. The shapes are gone. The whispers are gone. Yet the unease remains, lingering in the frost. I step forward again, every movement careful, deliberate. The forest hums softly beneath my boots, beneath the frozen earth. And I know I am not alone. The trail winds before me, familiar, yet strangely altered. Branches bend overhead, shifting with each step. Fog coils around my ankles. The scent of damp earth rises, heavy and sharp. Leaves stick to my boots, wet and cold. Paths loop back on themselves. I take a turn I know, or think I know. The forest twists, alive, shifting silently around me. Shadows cling to tree trunks. They stretch and bend at the edges of vision. I catch movement, fleeting and deliberate, a rustle in the underbrush. I pause, breath held. Nothing emerges, yet I feel it, watching. The trail narrows. Roots twist beneath my feet, snagging boots. The fog thickens, damp against my face. I take another step. The trees seem to lean closer, bending toward me. Every inhale tastes of moss and cold. Shadows shift again, too quick to catch. I blink. The forest hums softly, patient and endless. The path curves sharply. I recognize the turn. Then I do not. The forest folds over itself, quiet and deliberate. A branch brushes my shoulder. I shiver. No wind moves the air. Something unseen circles, just beyond perception. Leaves rustle along the path. Footsteps echo faintly in the fog. I strain to listen, but the forest swallows sound. I step carefully. The trail twists unnaturally beneath my feet. Each bend feels like returning. Yet nothing is familiar. The fog thickens around the trees. Shadows stretch between trunks, curling, patient. I sense them watching, waiting for me to falter. I pause. Breath clouds in front of me, white and slow. The forest exhales around me, quiet and relentless. I move again. The path seems alive, bending and folding silently. Shadows dart, too fast, too deliberate. The trail twists once more. I cannot tell if I've gone in circles. The forest hums beneath my boots. I am alone, yet never alone. Every step forward is measured, cautious. The trees bend, the fog curls, the shadows linger, and I continue along the twisted path, knowing something watches from just beyond the reach of sight. The forest thins. Mist drifts low along the ground. Moonlight pools on a small patch of water. I kneel beside it. The surface is still, glass-like. Pale light spreads across ripples, quiet and soft. But the reflection is wrong. My face stretches, angles twisting unnaturally. A shadowy figure stands behind me. I spin. Nothing. Only the forest, silent and waiting. The air is cold against my cheeks. Fog curls around my boots, damp and heavy. Leaves stick softly underfoot. I stare again at the pool. The figure lingers, shifting with the pale reflection. Its presence feels patient, deliberate, impossible to touch. I step back slowly. Fingers brush damp moss along the bank. The smell of wet earth rises, sharp and metallic. The forest hums faintly. Branches scrape softly overhead, unseen. The reflection does not blink. I kneel once more. The figure mimics my movements. Every slight tilt, every inhale mirrored. Yet when I turn, it is gone. Silence presses close. Only my breath, curling white in the cold night air. Only the soft rustle of leaves beneath my boots. I reach out. The water is smooth and cold under my fingertips. No trace of the figure. Yet I feel it, watching, waiting. The fog thickens around the pool. Shadows stretch long, curling along the edge of light. The reflection twists again, impossible and wrong. I step away. Boots press into damp leaves. The forest exhales slowly around me. I glance back. The pool is still. The pale figure has vanished, but its presence lingers. Every shadow along the trees feels longer. Every breath tastes of mist and earth. Silence hums faintly beneath the moonlight. I move along the trail. Eyes flit to the pool repeatedly, though I know nothing waits there. And yet, I cannot shake the sense that something followed me. The forest swallows the reflection. The moonlight dims slightly behind the mist. I walk forward, heart tight, and I know, though unseen, the pale reflection waits, patient at the edge of memory. The forest breathes. Fog drifts low along the ground. Branches sway, but no wind moves them. And then I hear it. Soft voices carried through the air. Pleasant, pleading, angry. I strain to listen. Every gust twists their tones. Words form, fleeting, unintelligible, urgent. I step forward. Boots sink into damp leaves. The scent of moss and wet pine rises with each step. The voices grow clearer. Each breath of wind curls around my ears. And I realize they're calling my name. Warning me? Taunting me? I cannot tell. I pause. Fog clings to my boots, damp and slow. Shadows stretch along the trunks, bending and flickering. A whisper grazes my cheek. Cold, deliberate, brushing along the skin. The air tastes faintly of earth and decay. I move again. Leaves rustle softly beneath my steps. The voices follow, circling, weaving through the fog. Every gust carries a word. I cannot catch them all, but I feel their intent, urgent, pressing, impossible to ignore. The forest hums faintly. Shadows curl at the edge of vision. I glance behind me. Nothing, yet I sense presence, patient and observing. The wind twists again. Words form and fade, calling warning, mocking. Each inhale carries a chill of distant frost. I take careful steps. Branches scrape lightly against my shoulders. The fog thickens, swallowing the trail behind me. I pause. Breath clouds before my face, white and slow. The whispers hum with the wind, patient, relentless. I step forward once more. The forest presses close, shadows lingering. Every sound echoes, then is absorbed into silence. The voices fade, lingering just at the edge of hearing. The fog wraps tighter, damp and cold. I feel their presence still, though unseen. I move along the trail, careful, deliberate, each step measured. The forest exhales slowly, holding its patience. The wind whispers my name one last time. And I know, though I cannot see, the voices follow, persistent, waiting, urging, watching. The trail narrows. Fog drifts low, curling around roots and rocks. Branches hang heavy, brushing my shoulders. Ahead, a massive tree blocks the path. Its trunk lies across the forest floor, gnarled and dark. The bark glistens with dampness, rough beneath my fingertips. Beneath it, footprints appear. Too large, too human, yet impossible. I crouch, studying the impressions. The soil is soft, cold, clinging to my fingers. Each step seems deliberate, patient, waiting. The forest exhales slowly. Leaves rustle without wind. A low hum vibrates through the earth beneath the fallen tree. I move closer. The shadows beneath the trunk shift. Something moves, unseen. Patient. I pause. Every breath tastes damp, earthy, metallic. My heartbeat thrums in rhythm with the forest's hush. The footprints continue beneath the tree. Deeper, darker, fading into shadows. I strain to see, but the gloom swallows everything. A branch creaks overhead. Mist curls around my ankles. Cold presses against my cheeks. I step forward cautiously. The shadows seem to stretch, twisting along the mossy ground. I sense a presence, patient, aware, waiting for me to falter. The air hums faintly, vibrating against my chest. Each inhale sharp, biting, tingling. The forest leans closer, bending around the fallen trunk. I crouch again, fingertips brushing soil. The footprints vanish beneath darkness, yet the weight of unseen eyes presses down. A rustle beneath the tree. Quick, impossible. Then silence. I rise slowly. Boots press into the damp forest floor. The mist coils higher, hiding the path ahead. I step forward. Shadows cling to the edges of vision. Every movement measured, deliberate. The fallen tree stretches behind me. The footprints are gone, but the sense of watching remains, patient, unyielding. I move past the trunk. Branches scrape softly overhead. Fog curls around my ankles. Every step echoes faintly in the quiet. The forest exhales, the hum fading into stillness. And I know something waited beneath the fallen tree. The fog thickens. Each step sinks softly into damp earth. The forest exhales around me, quiet and patient. I pause. Shadows stretch along the trunks, curling in the dim light. And then I see them. Eyes, glowing faintly, or sometimes just darker than the night. Unblinking, watching. I blink. They vanish. But when I pause again, they return. Closer, patient. The mist coils around my boots, damp and cold. Branches brush my shoulders, light, insistent. The scent of wet pine rises with every breath. I step forward slowly. Every movement measured, deliberate. The fog grows heavier, swallowing the trail behind me. Eyes appear again, faint, glowing, unblinking. I strain to see who or what it belongs to. The forest hums faintly beneath the thick fog. I hear leaves rustling without wind. Each exhale tastes of cold, wet earth. I pause. Breath curls white and slow in the chilled air. The eyes linger, just at the edge of vision, patient, unyielding. I take another careful step. Shadow clings to shadow. The fog thickens further, pressing against my chest. Blink, they vanish. Step, they appear again, waiting, following. I crouch briefly, fingertips brushing damp leaves. The forest hums beneath me. Every movement seems mirrored, observed. I rise slowly. Branches scrape lightly against my jacket. The scent of moss and decay hangs heavy. The eyes follow still. Some glow faintly, pale and unearthly. Some are only shadows, black and patient. I move along the trail, careful, deliberate. Each step echoes faintly, then is swallowed by fog. I feel the presence around me, always watching, always waiting. Blink, they vanish. Step, they return. The fog coils higher, thick and damp. Every rustle, every shadow feels deliberate. And I know, though I cannot see them clearly, the eyes are patient, watching, following, waiting for me to falter. The forest shifts around me. Mist drifts low, curling along roots and rocks. The scent of damp earth rises with every breath. A narrow trail appears. Unmarked, overgrown. Branches stretch across the path, brushing my shoulders. Each step echoes unnaturally. The soil holds the imprint of my boots, yet the sound seems multiplied, lingering longer than it should. Leaves rustle softly, though no wind moves them. Shadows bend toward me, curving along the trunks, stretching across the ground. I feel them reach, patient, hungry, aware. The trail narrows further. Thorns scrape my jacket. Mist coils around my ankles, damp and cold. I pause. Silence presses in, but the forest hums faintly beneath the stillness. Each step forward feels deliberate, measured. Branches scrape lightly overhead. The air tastes of wet pine and soil, thick and heavy. Shadows twist with each movement. The trail seems to shift beneath my boots, elongating, bending. I glance behind me. Nothing moves, yet I feel a presence, patient, observing, waiting. The mist thickens. Fog clings to my boots, rising slowly. Every sound is magnified, every rustle sharper than before. I move forward, slow, careful. The trail twists unexpectedly, unfamiliar despite its seeming familiarity. Shadows stretch further, curling closer to the path. A low hum vibrates through the trees. The scent of moss and decay grows stronger. The trail narrows, overgrown, almost swallowing me whole. I pause again. Breath curls white in the cold air. The forest leans inward, patient, alive. Each step echoes, shadows sway, the fog coils. I feel the forest watching, waiting, hungering. And I know, though the trail is unmarked and overgrown, every step I take is no longer entirely my own. I move forward, deliberate, careful. The shadows bend, the mist rises, the echoes linger. The unmarked trail waits, patient, silent, and endless. Fog drifts low along the trail. Branches brush lightly against my shoulders. The forest exhales, damp and patient. Small lights appear ahead, flickering like fireflies, but their movement is deliberate, too precise to be insects. I pause. They hover, shifting closer. A pale glow drifts along the mist, pulsing gently. Whispers rise with the lights, soft, urgent, curling around my ears, guiding me, or perhaps trapping me. I step forward cautiously. Leaves crunch softly beneath my boots. The scent of damp moss rises with each breath. The lights sway closer. Each flicker casts shadows that dance along the twisted roots. I feel their presence, patient, deliberate, watching. A whisper brushes my cheek. Warm, damp air carrying words I cannot catch. The fog coils around my ankles, thick and slow. I move again. The lights drift with me, hovering, waiting. Branches scrape overhead, soft, insistent. Every step echoes unnaturally. The forest leans inward. The glow seems to pulse in response to my heartbeat. I glance behind me. Nothing, yet the whispers linger, curling in the damp air. I step closer to the lights. They flicker, guiding me along the twisting path. Shadows stretch, bend, almost alive beneath their glow. The hum of the forest rises faintly. Mist clings to my boots, wrapping around my calves. The lights pulse, deliberate, patient. I pause, holding my breath. Every rustle of leaves sharp in the stillness. The whispers twist around me, urgent and alive. Step by step, I follow the flickering glow. The forest presses close. Shadows curling along the trail. The lights drift ahead, patient, enticing. The path narrows. Fog thickens, damp and cold. The glow flickers once, twice, and then drifts just beyond sight. I move forward, careful, deliberate. Branches scrape softly, mist curls higher. The whispers fade slightly, lingering, patient, ever watchful. The lights disappear into the fog. The trail seems longer, darker, yet the path remains. And I know the forest is waiting. The forest thins. Mist curls along the frozen ground. The air tastes sharp, crisp, and cold. A clearing opens ahead. Pale moonlight drapes the frost in silver. Every crystal glimmers, intricate, unnatural. I step forward. The frost crunches softly beneath my boots. A chill rises from the ground, wrapping my ankles. Shapes shift beneath the ice. Slow, subtle movements, almost alive. I lean closer, breath curling in the cold. The wind hums faintly through bare branches. A scent of frozen earth and wet moss lingers. Silence presses close, but the frost seems to whisper. I kneel briefly. Fingers brush the crystalline patterns. The ice trembles slightly beneath my touch. Every step forward feels deliberate. Shadows twist along the edges of the clearing. The moonlight stretches them long, patient, waiting. Something moves again beneath the ice. Subtle, yet deliberate, tracing lines in the frozen surface. I can see shapes, vague, unnerving, shifting with my gaze. The air is still. Even the wind holds its breath. The forest waits. I rise slowly. The frost crunches underfoot, echoing faintly. Mist coils around my boots, curling higher with each step. I step closer to the center. Shadows cling to the edges of my vision. The ice trembles again, subtle but certain. A soft hum rises from the clearing. Cold air brushes my face, biting, persistent. The patterns in the frost seem deliberate, purposeful, alive. I pause. Breath curls slowly in the frozen air. The clearing glows faintly, patient, observing. Step by careful step, I move. The ice ripples slightly beneath my boots. Shadows lean inward. The mist thickens, curling higher. And I know, though I cannot see clearly, the frost beneath me is not still. Something waits, patient, beneath the ice. The clearing stretches outward, pale and silent. The forest hums faintly around me. And I move forward, deliberate, cautious, as the frost trembles beneath my feet. The forest is still. Fog curls low around the roots. Cold air bites at my cheeks. Soft, shallow breaths brush past me. I turn. Nothing. I move forward. Branches scrape lightly against my jacket. The mist thickens, wrapping my legs. The breathing follows. Shallow, patient. Every step I take echoes too clearly. I glance behind me. Empty trunks, twisted roots. No one, yet the rhythm persists. Close, distant, impossible to locate. A low hum rises with my heartbeat. I pause, hold my breath. The forest exhales around me. The sound comes again. Soft, deliberate, circling. Every shadow seems alive, stretching toward me. I step forward cautiously. Frost glints under pale light. The smell of wet earth and cold lingers, pressing close. Another turn. Still nothing. The breathing closer. I feel in the chest, in the neck, a presence unseen, patient, waiting. The forest leans inward, silent but aware. I move again. Each step careful, slow. Leaves rustle beneath boots, sharp in the silence. The fog coils around my arms, around my ankles. The shallow breaths persist, echoing my own, but wrong. A slow burn of panic rises inside. I pause again. Shadows twitch. Mist curls higher. I step, and the sound moves with me. Always near, always just beyond vision. A cold hand of dread grips the spine. I follow the trail. The fog grows heavier, the forest quieter. The shallow breathing lingers. I breathe carefully, deliberately. The forest hums faintly, almost in rhythm with the unseen presence. Step by step, I advance. And still, the sound follows. Soft, shallow, patient, as if the forest itself is breathing behind me. The forest is quiet, yet not silent. A hollow sound drifts between the trees. I step carefully, boots pressing into damp earth. Fog clings to my legs, cold and wet. The smell of moss and decay curls into my nose. The hollow sound returns. It rises and falls, echoing as if the forest itself is speaking. Shapes twist in the mist, half-formed, moving just out of reach. I try to call out. My voice trembles. It bounces back, swallowed immediately. I pause. The fog swirls higher, hiding the ground, the roots, everything familiar. Breath clouds in the cold, pale light, dissipating into emptiness. Each step forward feels heavier. Branches scrape softly, brushing against my arms. The hollow sound echoes again, longer, emptier, waiting. I strain my eyes. Shadows stretch unnaturally between the trees. A low hum, like the forest itself is exhaling, brushes my skin. I whisper my own name. The forest repeats it back, wrong, hollow, distant. I swallow, tasting damp earth on my tongue. Shapes twist closer. Figures I cannot name, cannot define, move at the edge of sight. Every instinct tells me to turn, to run. I breathe slowly. Fingers brush bark. The cold, the silence, the hollow echo. Everything presses inward. Another step. The ground is uneven, roots hidden beneath the fog. I feel the forest watching, patient, alive. The hollow sound grows, pulsing softly through the air. It vibrates in my chest. I feel in the soles of my feet, in the hairs on my arms. I call again. My own voice answers, stretched and thin. Nothing else moves, yet everything seems aware. I pause, listening. The mist curls around me, hiding the path behind and before. Shapes flicker in the corners of vision, vanishing before I can focus. The hollow sound lingers, echoing. A presence presses from all sides, patient, waiting. I take a careful step, one foot after the other, guided only by instinct. The fog swallows everything. Breath, shadow, silence, sound, all fold into the hollow. And I move forward, alone, through the echoing forest, the hollow sound following, watching, breathing with me. Fog swallows the trees. Each branch drips moisture onto my shoulders. The forest smells damp, earthy, and endless. I walk slowly. Footsteps follow. Soft, deliberate, echoing against the mist. I glance back. Nothing. Yet I feel them, matching my pace, always just behind. The cold bites my fingers. Mist clings to my hair. Each breath forms a ghost that vanishes immediately. I quicken my steps. The footsteps quicken too. Step for step, echo for echo. Shadows shift in the fog. Something flickers between the trees, just out of focus. A rustle, low and careful, follows. I try to steady my breathing. Fingers brush against wet bark. The fog presses close, muffling sound, yet amplifying the echoes. A pause. I stop. The footsteps halt too, then continue. Like the forest is aware, like it is waiting. The ground squelches under my boots. Twigs snap softly beneath invisible feet. I feel eyes tracing my every move, though nothing looks back. A shiver runs down my spine. I taste dampness in the air. The fog swirls, curling around my ankles, my legs, pulling at my clothes. I try to turn to see more, to escape the echo. The footsteps adjust. Closer, patient, unrelenting. Silence stretches. Then the hollow rhythm begins again. Step, 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 step for step. The fog carries them toward me. I walk faster. Branches claw at my jacket. A low hum seems to vibrate beneath the fog, sinking with each step behind me. The forest is alive. Breath mingles with fog, wet and cold. Every sense tells me to run, yet my legs move like lead. Another glance back. A shadow melts into mist, indistinct but present. I feel it watching, calculating, patient. The footsteps fade slightly as the path narrows. Yet I know they wait, for me to falter, to slow. I take a deep breath. The fog presses closer. I can feel it in my chest, in my ears, in the soles of my boots. Step by step, I move forward. The footsteps follow. Quiet, soft, unyielding. The forest holds its breath. I hold mine. And the fog holds everything in its pale, frozen grip. Fog drifts low across the forest floor. Each branch glistens with frost, cold against my fingertips. The night is still, yet heavy, pressing down with an almost physical weight. I walk slowly. Soft steps on frozen leaves. Breath visible, curling, fragile, fading into the mist. At the edge of the fog, a shape waits. Tall, too tall, still, unnaturally still. I freeze, heart thudding in the emptiness. The air tightens. I try to rationalize. A tree? A shadow? But the feeling, pressure against my chest, the rustle of something unseen, tells me otherwise. My eyes search. The fog swirls around its feet, hiding any motion. The silhouette remains, unwavering, patient. A twig snaps beneath my boots. I flinch. It doesn't move. The forest exhales around me. A faint smell of damp earth and frost lingers. I can feel the shadows gaze, like weight on my back, though I cannot see eyes. I take another step. The air grows colder. Breath catches in my throat. Silence stretches, thick and suffocating. Only my heartbeat echoes. Step, step, step. I dare a tilt of the head. It doesn't flinch. It shouldn't be possible. The stillness so absolute it seems to swallow light. The fog twists, brushing my arms. I shiver. Something hums beneath the air, low, almost imperceptible. I try to move again. The forest seems to lean in, branches brushing my shoulders. The shadow waits, patient. Its edges soft yet unyielding in the mist. A pause. A breath. The cold presses harder against my lungs. I swallow. I hear the faint rustle of leaves behind me. Yet I do not dare look. All awareness narrows to that shape at the edge, unmoving, endless. I step backward. The snow crunches softly underfoot. The shadow does not follow. Time bends. Every second stretches too long. I can feel it watching, even as I inch away. The fog curls around me. Shadows ripple in its folds. The air smells of damp moss and something darker beneath. I exhale slowly. The shadow remains, tethered to the edge of the mist. Too tall, too still. I keep walking, careful, deliberate. Every step measured, yet my pulse screams in my ears. The forest breathes around me, heavy and waiting. And behind the fog, it waits, always waiting. I do not look back. The forest is still, too still. Yet the leaves stir, a soft rustling, insistent. No wind. Only the sound of something unseen brushing through branches. Shadows stretch across the path. Long, twisted, reaching. I pause. My breath curls in the cold air, trembling. Every branch seems to lean toward me, as if watching, as if waiting. I take a step forward. The ground is damp beneath my boots, moss cold against my soles. Leaves whisper underfoot, then settle, then stir again. The fog drifts low, curling around tree trunks. A faint hum vibrates through the air, almost imperceptible. I can feel it in my chest. Shadows shift in the corners of my vision, elongating, bending unnaturally. Every movement slow, deliberate. I brush a hand against bark. Rough, cold. It feels alive, vibrating with something I cannot name. The rustling grows louder, closer. I turn, half expecting to see something, or someone. Nothing, only the path ahead, narrowing under the low-hanging branches. A scent drifts past me. Earth, decay, something metallic. My stomach tightens. My skin prickles. I move carefully, step by careful step. The forest exhales around me, heavy and patient. The shadows stretch farther. Each one seems to flicker with intent. The leaves shiver, though the air is still. I pause again. Silence, almost complete. Then a soft brush of air across my cheek. I shiver. The path narrows. Branches reach, twisting like hands. I duck under one, heart hammering. A branch snaps somewhere behind me. I do not look. The fog thickens. Shadows stretch longer, darker. The rustling never stops. Always present, always near. I feel watched, every nerve tingling. Something moves just beyond my sight, circling. I take another step. The forest leans in, whispering in its own language. The leaves twist and flutter, brushing against my arms. A pause, a breath. The shadows hold their place. The rustling stops for a heartbeat, and then it begins again, closer this time. A reminder I am not alone, that I never was. I move forward, careful, deliberate. The path is endless. The leaves whisper. The shadows stretch. And I am small, alone, in the forest that watches and waits. The forest is still. Cold air hangs between the trees, heavy with fog. Branches twist, black against pale moonlight. I walk slowly, feet pressing into damp leaves. The earth smells of decay, of frost lingering in the roots. Then I see it, a pale shape, flickering between the trunks. Impossible speed. It moves before my eyes can follow. A blur, gone. The silence afterward is vast, deafening. My own breath feels loud, ragged in my ears. The fog coils around me. I try to steady my heartbeat, but it hums in my chest like some hidden drum. Something watches from the shadows. Just beyond sight, branches scrape softly. Leaves quiver though no wind blows. Every sound is magnified. I step forward cautiously. Frost clings to my boots, cold biting through socks. A faint hum vibrates in the ground beneath me. There, movement in the corner of my vision. A pale figure again, faster, slipping through trees like water. I blink. It is gone. The silence presses closer. Shadows stretch and bend toward me. The fog tastes metallic, heavy on my tongue. I sense it circling, just beyond reach. Patient, waiting. I can feel the air tighten around my shoulders, constricting with something unseen. The forest breathes slowly. Every snap of twig echoes like a gunshot. Every rustle of leaves whispers a warning. I take another step. The earth beneath my boots feels hollow. The pale shape appears again, so fleeting. I cannot be sure it's real, but the dread in my chest is solid. Silence swells. It fills the gaps between the trees. My own voice seems to retreat inside me, swallowed by fog. I freeze. Cold fingers of fear trace my spine. The figure is gone. But I know it moves, always moving. Soft footsteps echo behind me, though nothing follows. The pale shape dances just beyond sight. The air hums with its presence, static pressing against my skin. I press my palms against the nearest tree. Rough bark, damp with moss. The fog drifts across my face. I taste frost, metallic and sharp. Another blink. Gone. The forest leans closer. Shadows deepen. Leaves rustle insistent. The silence waits. I breathe slowly, shallowly. The hum underfoot vibrates in time with my heart. I step forward, each movement careful, deliberate, and then the shape is there again. A flash of pale. Impossible. Unreal. I blink. It vanishes. The forest exhales around me. Shadows fold back into themselves. Leaves settle, and the silence returns, louder than ever. I am alone, alone with the shape that moves just beyond sight, with the silence that screams. And I know it is still here, watching. The forest holds its breath. Mist coils around tree trunks, curling like fingers. The ground is cold, frozen patches crunching underfoot. I move carefully, each step a soft whisper against the frost. The air tastes of iron, and a faint hum vibrates beneath the earth. Then I see it, tall, emaciated, glowing eyes that pierce the fog, unblinking. It moves with fluid certainty. The trees seem to bend away, making space for it. The wind dies around it. My chest tightens, heart pounding like a drum in my ears. I step back, feet crunching leaves, but the sound feels muted, swallowed. The shape tilts its head slowly. I can't tell if it hunts me or waits for me to leave. A presence, ancient and patient, wraps the clearing in silence. Shadows coil beneath it. Branches stretch, almost reaching toward me. The mist twists around its legs like smoke. I breathe. Frost forms in my exhalation, hanging longer than it should. A soft rustling, too deliberate, drifts from somewhere unseen. The forest seems to exhale. Static hums in the air, faint but insistent. Every sound I make echoes like it knows the forest better than I do. Its eyes follow me, glowing pale in the dark. Muscles tense beneath stretched, thin skin. It shifts, each motion unnatural, bending space around it. I take another step back. Twigs snap underfoot. The sound is swallowed instantly. Nothing disturbs the fog except its presence. I want to run, but the ground feels different here, soft, alive, like the forest itself is holding me. The cold bites deeper into my bones. Frost clings to my hair, my shoulders. It moves again, silent, faster than thought, but still deliberate, patient. I swallow, taste a metallic tang of fear in my mouth. The fog presses closer, dense and choking. Every instinct screams to flee. Every nerve hums in terror, but all roots me in place. The forest, the creature, the cold, they feel eternal. It tilts its head. Glowing eyes never leave mine. Time stretches. I feel the weight of centuries in that gaze. The air hums with static. Soft footsteps echo far behind me, though I stand still. Leaves rustle, unnaturally, reaching for the edges of my vision. I step forward slowly. The frost crunches under boots. The hum beneath the ground pulses with my heartbeat. And then it halts. Tall, still impossible. The forest holds its breath. And so do I. I exhale softly. The mist curls around my fingers, around my face. Its eyes do not blink. The silence stretches. I take another step back. It does not follow. Yet I feel it everywhere, watching, waiting, patient. I do not move again. The forest absorbs sound. Shadow and fog coil together. And I stand alone, trembling, frozen in awe and fear.